When Paul turns to address wives in Ephesians chapter 5, his choice of language is deliberate and careful. He does not command obedience. That absence matters. Paul knows the word for obedience. He uses it elsewhere in his letters, especially when addressing children or slaves. But he does not use it here. Instead, Paul gives a different command. Let the wife revere her husband. To understand why this matters, we need to see how Paul is thinking relationally, not hierarchically. Earlier in the passage, Paul has already established the shared posture of all believers, submitting to one another in the fear of Christ. Submission there is not a command aimed at wives alone. It is the common posture of the Christian community under Christ. That posture is assumed, not repeated. What Paul gives next are actions, and those actions are shaped by a particular analogy. The relationship between Christ and the church. This is crucial. Paul does not ask, what role should husbands and wives perform? Rather, what he does ask is, how does the Christ-church relationship take visible form in marriage? Christ loves. The church responds. That response is not obedience in the sense of command compliance. It is reverence. Reverence is an action, not a posture. It is something done. Reverence communicates honor. It acknowledges love. It recognizes sacrificial initiative. Reverence says, I see what you have given, and I respond fittingly. This is why Paul chooses this word. Obedience would flatten the analogy. It would turn the Christ-church relationship into a command structure. Paul refuses to do that. The church does not obey Christ in the way a servant obeys a master. The church responds to Christ in faith, gratitude, trust, and reverent devotion. Paul preserves that relational shape. By commanding reverence rather than obedience, Paul also protects the dignity of wives. He does not place them in a subordinate moral category. He addresses them as moral agents, capable of meaningful, intentional response. Reverence is not fear. It is not silence. It is not erasure. It is an active recognition of love given. Paul also understands that reverence only makes sense in the presence of love. Reverence is not demanded. It is elicited. This is why the commands in Ephesians 5 are asymmetrical. Love moves first. Reverence responds. If love is absent, reverence becomes distortion. If reverence is demanded without love, the analogy collapses. Paul's structure prevents this. Love moves outward. Reverence returns. Glory flows relationally between the two. This also explains why Paul does not repeat the command to submit to husbands. Submission has already been named as posture. Reverence is the visible action that corresponds to Christ's relationship with the church. So the flow is clear. Shared posture under Christ. Distinct actions shaped by analogy. One relational picture. When this is seen, Ephesians 5 stops sounding like a hierarchy and starts sounding like a carefully ordered vision of love and response. Marriage becomes a living parable of the gospel. In the next video, we'll move from Ephesians to 1 Corinthians 11 and see how the same relational logic appears again, this time in the context of worship. Thank you for watching.